When you swing a club this summer, you could help save a life. Options Pregnancy Center invites you to join our Golf for Life tournament on June the 1st, supporting moms, babies, families right here in our community. Join us first at our kickoff on April the 13th to learn how you can get involved and receive a free round of golf. Call Vicki Parker, 501-743-5120 to attend the kickoff and see how you can partner. That's 501-743-5120. Golf for Life, because every life is worth defending.
Welcome to Sit on That Stump in Muddy Bottom with Vicki Parker. Vicki is an author and the CEO of Options Pregnancy Center in Cabot, Jacksonville, and Beebe. Now, here's Vicki.
Welcome to Sit on That Stump in Muddy Bottom, where we remind you that even in life's lowest places, there are still diamonds waiting to be discovered. I'm your host, Vicki Parker, and today's conversation is one that could literally save a life. And I don't say that lightly. We're taking and talking about a very sensitive subject, but something that's very important to many people. It affects people that we don't even know it affects. It affects us in a way that a lot of times we don't even know. But we're going to be talking about abortion pill reversal and the possibility of that and what that is. If you or someone that you know has taken the first abortion pill and immediately felt regret, there is still hope, and that's what we want you to know today. And today, we are bringing truth, clarity, and medical insight to that hope. You may have been confused by listening to the mainstream media and what they want to tell you that it isn't and that it can't be done. But today, we're going to talk about the reality of what can be done and has been done successfully. So joining me today is someone that I deeply trust and very special to me. It's our medical director at Options Pregnancy Center and the president of Arkansas Right to Life is Dr. Sherry Amaya. Welcome, Dr. Amaya.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Miss Vicki.
Well, I'm so excited to get to talk about this subject with you because I think that a lot of times people in the general public do not hear that there is no way that abortion pill can be reversed, or once you've started an abortion, that it can be reversed. And so I really wanted to have you on the show so that we could talk about the reality of that and the truth about that, because if we don't bring truth to it, then the other people get the narrative. They get to decide what that is. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And you're not going to be talking about in theory. You're actually going to be talking about real medical experience, walking with women in real time through this. So today I just want to talk through this in a very clear and honest way. But you've got something to warn the guests that might be listening today about.
That's right. To start off, we are going to be talking about a very sensitive topic. We may use some graphic language to describe what really takes place with medication, abortion, and this topic may not be appropriate for young listeners. For little ears, if you have little ears nearby, you may want to move this conversation to a different room. So parents, please use your judgment today. But for parents of teens, I think this is very appropriate. Use your judgment.
Yeah, I think that's great because it's true. We have little ears, and depends on what they've heard already or what they know already, and it can be very confusing to them. But let's really start at the beginning. So what exactly are the abortion pills, mifepristone and misoprostol, and what do they do to the body?
Okay, so abortion pills, sometimes referred to as medication abortion or medical abortion, are the most popular method of abortion right now, and they are being trafficked into the state of Arkansas illegally, and they are virtually accessible to anyone. Almost anyone can obtain them online with very few questions. Click a few buttons, and there they come to your doorstep. So parents beware. Your teenage daughters and sons can get a hold of them. Abortion pills are actually a combination of two medications. The first medication is mifepristone. It was originally known as RU-486, and it is a medication that blocks progesterone. Progesterone is a hormone that is necessary to sustain a vital pregnancy. So once you block that progesterone, the baby in the womb will die. And then the second medication is misoprostol, or sometimes called Cytotec. These medications sound very similar, but they work a little bit differently. The misoprostol, the second medication, begins to stimulate contractions and causes the woman to basically give birth to the dead baby.
Well, the thing that I want to bring up that you mentioned right at the very front is that they are very accessible, unfortunately, in our state, although it's against the law.
Yeah.
You know, we have laws that says that you cannot bring it into the state, you cannot send it into the state, you cannot traffic it within the state. However, they are getting through that by literally they are advertising it on the internet. And so if that were not enough, then you've got the abortion side of the people that are saying, well, we can get you, here's how you order it, this is what you do. So there's those people also. So the first pill, I wanted to make sure that you guys understand that, because I think they get it really confused over the fact that most of the people that I talk to, I hear them when I go into churches in different places and speak about this, they say to me, "But Vicki, abortion is against the law in state, so we don't have abortion anymore." Well, I wish that were true.
Right.
I wish that was the way it was. Right.
Yeah.
But the fact is, that's not the way it is. They always, the enemy, Satan will always find a crack. He will always find a crack, how to get in, what to do, and how to find a way to manipulate the system. And that's exactly what he's done in this situation. So that first pill begins the process, not the second pill.
Right.
So let's talk about what many people don't know about, which is the process of what happens in that first pill.
Yeah, so that first pill blocks, the essential hormone progesterone, and that is really the key time when there is still hope. Reversal is possible. There's actually still hope, even if you've taken both sets of medication.
Right.
But if you are,
it gets slimmer.
It gets slimmer. Yeah. Right. The earlier you begin reversal medication, the better your chances of saving that baby. And a lot of women experience that. They take that first medication, they get the pills, they swallow them, and they immediately feel regret. It's this, I can't imagine, like the horrible sinking feeling. But there is hope. There's actually doctors available all over this country who are willing to be available at a moment's notice to prescribe progesterone. So progesterone is the hormone that's being blocked, and if you take enough progesterone, you can actually overcome the effects of the abortion pills.
And we know that from history. Yeah. Because Dr. Maya, as an OBGYN, now you're not as old as I am, because I'm way older than you are, but
I'm old enough.
I remember back in the day, back in the day when my sister-in-laws or whoever in family, when they were threatened with miscarriage, this is the medication that the doctor put them on. Yeah. And more times than not, it would save the life of that baby.
That's right.
And so we're not using something that
it's been around a long time. Yeah. And it's really very safe. I mean, it doesn't cause very many adverse effects. If anything, it might make the woman feel a little tired. That is true. But, it's really hard to hurt anyone with progesterone. Virtually anyone with any medical condition can safely take progesterone. Yeah.
So with knowing that, the abortion pill reversal, or what we call APR, and let me say this, Dr. Maya, you brought up that there's doctors all across the nation that will assist with that. But pregnancy centers in the state of Arkansas, there are many, many pregnancy centers in the state of Arkansas that we have the ability to do through our medical directors abortion pill reversal. And so with knowing that, there's also AR Nurse. You can go to arnurse.org and go there, and there's a telehealth nurse that will answer the phone and walk you through getting to the right pregnancy center. Also, you can call Options Pregnancy Center. We have
That's
that
right.
24/7. We answer the phone 501-941-8703. And so we do it, but regardless of where you are in the state of Arkansas, I want you to know that if you have taken that first pill and you regret it, or you're thinking that you're going to do it, there's a few things though right there, Dr. Amaya, that we really need to talk about. Because if they've got the pills in their possession right now, and they're thinking, I'm going to do that this weekend. I'm going to do it this weekend. I'm taking off, and I'm going to be off Thursday and Friday or whatever. What we want them to know is, of course, like we talked about, that after you take that first pill and you feel regret, just know 24, 48 hours is the best. That's the
best time. So the progesterone for abortion pill reversal is actually very successful. Roughly about 67% of the time we can reverse that abortion. I wish it was 100%.
Yeah.
I wish it was, all the time. The sooner the woman puts that progesterone in her mouth, the better her chances of saving her baby. Yeah. I wish, what do I want to say, that there's no judgment.
Exactly.
Nobody, when you talk to someone on the phone, when you call an abortion pill reversal hotline, or you call Options Pregnancy Center, you're going to be met with love and kindness and a listening ear, someone who actually cares about what happens to you and your baby.
Right.
And so, there's a lot of guilt and shame, I think, sometimes when women don't want to even admit what they've done. But don't be afraid. That's not what we're about.
Absolutely.
We're going to get those pills to you.
Yeah. Because we don't want her to have to go through what she's about to go through as well.
And, and what she's about to go through is an incredibly painful, bloody process.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very bad.
Yeah.
We've had many of our clients that have started that process and told us what that was like.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that would even be anywhere in the realm of women's health care.
That's right.
That's as grueling as it gets, as far as I'm concerned.
Ms. Vicki, inexplicably, the FDA removed the in-person prescribing requirement for abortion pills, for mifepristone. So they now say that women can have a self-directed abortion. So that translates to isolation. A woman can get these...
And we don't care what happens to you.
Yeah, they can get these drugs. They can take them at home. Don't tell anyone. Go be by yourself. So Satan has turned every dorm room, every bedroom, every apartment into a potential abortion clinic. Exactly. So that woman, is told it's no big deal. It's going to be like you're having a heavy period. It's going to be like some strong menstrual cramps, and the pregnancy will pass. They're not going to call it a baby. They're going to call it a fetus. They're going to call it the pregnancy, or they're going to call it the products of conception. I'm like, well, wouldn't that be a baby?
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever you want to call it, she's told, don't look, just flush.
Yes.
And it's just this gut-wrenching, horrible experience. So what women describe, you can search up on Google stories of women talking about this. And I have met them, and they have described it to me because I'm a gynecologist. Yeah. Experiencing labor pains, bleeding so badly they thought they were going to bleed to death, seeing huge amounts of blood, and lying on their bathroom floors in pain, wondering, should I call an ambulance?
But scared to.
We'll
take the risk of dying sometimes rather than let someone know they are in trouble.
Yeah. Well, they're actually afraid of somehow, legal repercussions of being charged with a crime. And that's not true. Women in the state of Arkansas are not going to be charged with a crime for an abortion. So there should be no fear in seeking help.
and no fear for the doctors as well.
No fear. And there's no law in the state of Arkansas that prevents doctors from helping women in any situation, with her. But it is important that we know what she has taken.
Yeah, talk about that for a little bit, because, I've thought many times about this, and it seems like I talked with a man that his daughter was the ER doctor in another state, and there was a lady that came in, and she told them that she was just miscarrying, but that wasn't the actual fact. She finally told them the truth, that they had told her not to tell the doctors that if she had to go into the ER, not to tell them, okay, first of all, why would you tell me if I have to go into the ER? That should be a red flag right there.
1 out of 20. 1 out of 20 will end up in the ER.
So there's a chance that I'm going to end up in the ER. So now that should be a red light. So he said she went into the ER, and so his daughter was trying to do what she knew to do medically for her for a miscarriage, but she didn't know these other medications was in there. So she could have very well given her something that would have had an adverse reaction to that. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. So the women are told, if you have to go to the hospital or you have to go see your doctor, don't tell them you've taken abortion pills. Just tell them you're miscarrying. It doesn't matter. They treat you the same way. Well, that's not really true. If you've already taken mifepristone and misoprostol, the way we sometimes treat miscarriages is with misoprostol. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm thinking, well, you're trying to, your body's having a miscarriage, I'm trying to help your body get through this process, so I may actually prescribe or give you misoprostol if I don't know that you've already taken that drug and it's failed. So I could literally give you an overdose of misoprostol, which misoprostol has side effects. It causes pretty violent diarrhea. It can cause dehydration. It can cause kidney failure. There was a woman who spoke at the March for Life this year. Her name is Catherine Herring, and she went into acute kidney failure from being poisoned with misoprostol. And so I certainly need to know what you have taken, how long you've been bleeding. If you've been bleeding for, 72 hours, that's a big deal. You could be very anemic. You could be bleeding out. You could be getting infected and septic. You may actually need surgery. And so it is very important to be honest with the medical providers who are trying to care for you.
There's not going to be any judgment there.
No.
It doesn't matter where their stand is on life. They're there to take care. But it's very, very important. There's that's the part when he shared that story with me, Dr. Mott. That's what gripped me so badly, was that they are putting women in such harm's way. Yeah. Yes, we're going to lose a baby possibly through this, but they're the very people that they're saying they're taking care of, they're not taking care of them at all.
Yeah, supposedly the pro-choice folks are all about women and caring for women and giving women what they need, but are they really? Because look at this, if you contact an abortion pill provider, they're going to give you, they have one answer to your problem. That is, kill the baby, get rid of the baby in the pregnancy. They don't care who you are. They don't care how you got pregnant. They don't care what your situation is, what your social needs are. They don't care what kind of financial situation you're in. They have one solution, and that is in the pregnancy.
Right.
And, contrast that to like a pregnancy center, which provides holistic care. And by holistic, they are going to sit down with this woman and they are going to say, tell me your story.
Yeah.
Tell me your story. And they're interested not only in caring for her medical needs, but her emotional needs, her financial needs, her spiritual needs, most importantly. Yes. So they're meeting her needs in multiple different facets. When a woman is prescribed abortion pills, they are assuming, that she knows exactly when she got pregnant, or she knows exactly when her last menstrual period was. She may not. Women often miss the mark. So she could be a lot further along than she thinks she is.
Right.
1 to 2% of pregnancies are ectopic. So she could have an ectopic pregnancy.
About that because the other thing that Dr. Mai, that they tell these women that we are told from them, they tell them to not contact pregnancy centers, not go to their doctor, because they're not telling them you should go and get an ultrasound. But why is it so important to know about that if it were to be an ectopic pregnancy?
Oh, goodness.
1, 2, to confirm, because they've taken in home pregnancy tests, so possibility that could be true, that might not be true. They really need a medical level pregnancy test to confirm, and then an ultrasound too that shows that it really is an intrauterine pregnancy. Tell them about that.
Yeah. So these pills are prescribed with no in-person visit, no face-to-face visit with a doctor, no ultrasound. So, the up to 2% of pregnancies can be ectopic, one that is outside of the womb. And so that is a true life-threatening emergency that needs to be dealt with, sometimes with medication, sometimes with surgery. And if a woman takes abortion pills, she'll bleed. She'll bleed all right. And, but she may think, okay, I'm done. Yeah. But she actually may still be pregnant, and then that ectopic could later rupture. I had a case in my career where I saw a woman who was having an abortion. She'd had some other abortions. She took all the abortion pills, had some bleeding. She thought she was about 7 or 8 weeks pregnant, and then nothing else really happened. And she came into urgent care, and turns out she was a little over 14 weeks pregnant. She was actually in her second trimester with a beautiful baby boy. Wow. We were able to tell the gender, and the baby was still alive. Oh, so we were able to prescribe some progesterone for her, and as far as I know, she made it. Yeah. So
that makes a big difference. And this is the part that the general public, they sell the story that it's easy. It's safe, it's easy. And it's not safe and easy if it's not under medical care, for sure. But they tell them to do not tell the medical team. That's scary. That should be a huge red light for any woman, any man, that someone would tell them to hold back any critical information to need for a physician to know what to do next, because when a lady presents to you, then you're going off what you can ask, what you know to ask, and what they are willing to tell you. Yeah. And if they don't tell the whole story, then you're at a deficit of what you can do. Yeah. The biggest thing that concerns me on them is them telling them not to come in and have a ultrasound done and confirm that it's a uterine pregnancy. One, that bothers me about this is that that also tells us if it is an actual pregnancy,
right?
Because you can have a positive test, but then when we look at it on ultrasound, there's not anything there this week or next week or the next week. Yeah. So the uterus is not any different. That we're seeing what is a non-pregnancy. Yeah. And so what would happen is they would take those sold them the abortion pills. They took the abortion pills. They go through this horrific time and really put themselves at risk because there's not a pregnancy there. So when we go back to the number that you said, 67% are successful. Yeah. My question... Reversals. Yes, on the reversal. Yeah. My question is, the ones that we're seeing that maybe that go into that factor into the ones that were non-successful makes me question, how do we know that those were even, one, pregnancies, but two, the ones that maybe they were going to miscarry anyway, because 25% or better of all pregnancies end in miscarriage.
Yeah, a high percentage do end in miscarriage. I'd have to look up that exact number, but there are other things that can cause a positive pregnancy test. Sometimes you get a false positive from, dollar store pregnancy tests, or they're expired, or there are some, an ectopic will give you a positive pregnancy test, of course. And then there's also some other less common conditions, but like a blighted ovum. So a pregnancy gets started, but the baby doesn't grow, or what we call molar pregnancies, where actually there's an overgrowth of placental tissue in the uterus. So there's a lot of tissue, and it causes bleeding, and it causes a very high pregnancy hormone level, but it's not growing a baby, it's actually growing a tumor. That's a more rare condition, but these are things that just a simple ultrasound would pick up.
Yes.
A simple, harmless, painless ultrasound, and that a doctor would recognize, and yet women are told, you don't need to see a doctor. So that is a big red flag. Why are we trying to isolate women? Why are we trying to withhold medical care? And
over the years, you brought up the molar pregnancy and blighted ovum. We have actually seen those at the pregnancy center and been able to intervene and get them to the hospital and get them to a doctor.
Yeah. I see it a few times a year. Yeah. So, we do see that.
It, though, had they not came in early,
right,
they would have never known that. And we do all of that for free. We don't charge nobody.
That's right.
Unlike the abortion people that's going to charge them for this, and it's going to cost them something that's not going to cost them anything with us.
That's right.
We want the best for them, so we're not going to charge them for that. So that's
right.
Huge.
Yeah, and Vicki, it just makes me cringe every time I hear someone say, oh, the abortion pills are safer than Tylenol. They keep saying that. They keep saying it's safer than Tylenol. But 1 out of 20 women who swallows abortion pills will end up seeking medical care for heavy bleeding. Right. We have actually really good insurance data. So they looked at over 800,000 women who reported that they took abortion pills.
Right.
And this is the insurance data, and they looked at the complication rate. And so we know for sure that they took the pills. And the complication rate was 11%. So 1 out of 10 had a serious complication. And what do I mean by a serious complication? Heavy bleeding that required intervention. Right. Failure to complete the abortion. So actually there was still tissue and parts of the baby or the placenta left inside of her body. Right. Infection that required treatment with antibiotics. And then in some cases, sepsis, need for surgery to complete the process. And even in rare cases, hysterectomy, because her uterus was so infected, there was nothing to do but remove it. And then there are known deaths from abortion pills. So these are very serious things. And, of course, death is rare, but 1 out of 10 or better, that's a high complication rate.
It is a high complication rate. And I think it's one, and they don't tell them. They're not telling them at the abortion clinic or where they order them from. They're not telling this. One thing I was going to bring out, too, we have also, from clients, been told that when they have ordered those pills, that maybe they get the mifepristone and then the misoprostol, there will be 12 to 15 of those. And they'll tell them to keep taking them until something happens.
Oh,
so we're talking about, clearly they're telling them something that could literally overdose them and take their life.
Yeah, could lead to serious organ system complications.
Yeah.
And by that I mean like it could shut down their kidneys, cause them to go into severe diarrhea, dehydration.
Right.
And sometimes it causes fevers, just.
And so these are the people that supposedly care
about
what
women.
happens to women.
Yeah.
So sometimes people will say, yeah, but I mean, what happens to those babies? So if they have the baby, what happens is that baby going to be born with complications? Is that baby going to be born? Well, there's over 8,000 babies in the U.S. right now.
That's right.
That have been born successfully, healthy babies from the reversal of the abortion pill reversal.
Right.
And I think that a big part of this is that the biggest fear needs to be over here about what's going to happen to that woman, and delivering her dead baby all alone by herself, possibly hemorrhaging out, and other than we're over here worrying about. Well, are they even going to be born? Well, yes, we have proof of that. Over 8,000 babies have. So we've really seen this major shift after Roe was overturned. It started gradually. I remember it began, the language, I began to hear more and more about it. Prior to Roe, we began to hear, I think it was there a lot earlier than that, but I think it began, they allow it out. If you listen to them and really listen to them, you'll hear them tell you what they're going to do later down the road.
Yeah.
But you got to really listen over here because they let it out a little bit at a time. Now, why do they do that? I believe it's to desensitize you so that by the time they bring it full circle, that you're like, oh yeah, I've heard something about that. Yeah, I think that's free, that's this, that's that. So they began to do that. So this major shift. Now what we're hearing and seeing a lot of, I do get excited about it. I know you do too.
I do.
About the fact that so many Planned Parenthoods are being closed. And so we think, yay, victory, victory. But this is all part of that shift.
It's shifting
They're wanting to get them in those pills as early as possible. They're telling them they can order more of them and just have them on hand just in case.
Oh yeah, if you go on some of these websites, which I have done just to see what they have to say, it's kind of sickening. Stock up on your abortion pills in case you need an abortion in the future. So literally anyone could go online, and there's no validation process. So you can use someone else's name, put in any age you want. No one is going to verify who you are, where you are, and you can get these pills. Which brings up another issue: is that sometimes perpetrators are getting them. Perpetrators of crime, abusive boyfriends, pedophiles, abusive spouses, husbands. Yeah,
we know that. Because of the testimony.
There was a case in New York where a woman and a doctor conspired to drug a teenager. So the girl's mother did not want her to be pregnant, and she got abortion pills and drugged the teenage girl. And the teenage girl actually wanted to keep her baby. She didn't want an abortion.
Right.
And then there was a Catherine Herring's testimony, and she's not an isolated case. She's just been willing to speak out.
She's been the one that's been willing to say it.
That's right. She was drugged by her husband, and they were separated at the time. And her husband had been unfaithful, and he nearly killed her.
He did, because he didn't do it just once.
And she actually had progesterone in her home because she had taken it to prevent a miscarriage in a previous pregnancy. She was able to take the progesterone right away, get to the hospital. She was in kidney failure. And she had the wherewithal to get, some hidden cameras and hire a private investigator. He tried to drug her 6 more times. So he made a total of 7 attempts on the life of her child. He did not succeed. No. Her baby did make it. Yeah. Her daughter is alive and well today. But there are numerous cases of this happening where, women are basically forced to swallow the pills or drugged against their knowledge. Yeah. So it's even easier for someone to hide their crime.
It is, and especially with the pedophiles and the sex trafficking.
That's right.
And we think about, you think about that, and your children, you don't even know. You can have your children at home, and you think that you've got them protected, but they're actually being sex trafficked. You hear this happening through unfortunately, with different people in schools, that it's happening there. I just saw a case not long ago where it was a coach, and he was sex trafficking several girls. They were living at home. They weren't removed from the home.
Crazy.
They were living at home, and it was happening. And parents, we get busy. We get busy, and we don't see the things change in our children, our how they react. I remember way back, we've been open 25 years, and I remember way back there was a mom that came in. This was way before abortion pills, but she came in and she was telling me about her daughter, and she was pregnant, and she's going, she can't pick up her clothes, she can't do this, she can't do that. And I said, well, you know, a baby really changes everything. It really does.
Yeah.
And I said, as difficult as it is, I being the mother of one, I understand all the difficulty that goes with it. But I've got to tell you that sometimes it also helps that girl to grow up, because now she has something that's really important to her. But the changes in that particular child had happened. She had mentioned about how she used to be very clean, and she would take care of her room, and she was very studious, and so on and so forth. And then she became very quiet and withdrawn and angry, and began cutting and things like this. And I'm going like, well, what do you think happened? Well, long story short, what eventually came out is that girl had had an abortion. And her mother did not know. She'd been pregnant before, and her mother did not know. And so the trauma from that, she was just acting out the trauma from that. And so it just broke my heart for that mom, because that mom doesn't know. She wanted to help her daughter. She thought this was the worst thing. That was not the worst thing to happen to her. What she went through, had been the worst thing. So many times we just don't know, and now it's made it even easier.
Even easier for people to harm our children.
Exactly.
So, gosh, you make such a great point. Just looking for those signs. Yeah. We chalk it up to, they're just a teenager. They're just going through those sulky teenage years. But no, it's more than that. We have to look. And it's even easier for criminals to traumatize our kids.
They are.
And sadly for young girls to traumatize themselves, or to succumb to peer pressure from their boyfriends. It's rough. But I do want to point out the trauma.
Yes.
Yes. So many times when a woman faces an unplanned pregnancy, it's tramatic. Yeah. It's traumatic. We don't diminish that.
I was the mother of one, so I
yes,
I
you
mean,
know.
It was a shock for me.
So and that never leaves you, And so, but the solution to trauma is not to add more trauma.
Exactly.
When these abortion pills, they're told, it's no big deal, and nothing could be further from the truth. The physical experience is very painful, and then the psychological experience is even worse. Edward Sakis was the CEO of Roussel Uclaf. That's the company that invented mifepristone, the abortion pill. And he said, as a method of abortion, it's an appalling psychological ordeal. So even the CEO of the company said that created it. Said this is a horrible use for this medication. Yeah. That's not what they intended it for, really. And women describe seeing their baby. So they pass this baby. It is recognizable about half the time. Yeah. They recognize that, this is my baby. Mm-hmm. And then girls are there. They're already exhausted from what they've been through physically. Exactly. They might be anemic, and they are having to think, well, what do I do with this? Exactly. Do I flush it down the toilet? Mm-hmm. Do I try to sneak it out of the house and bury it in the backyard? What do I do with this? Right. And so that kind of
imagine Dr. Amaya being 15 trying to make that decision.
and they do. Yeah. And that this is many girls have been through this.
The lobe is not even formed, which is where you make your rational decisions, right, wrong. Mm-hmm. We wonder why teenagers are like they are. Well, it's because until they're 25, that doesn't even come into full fruition. So that's why they can't make their quickly make decisions that they don't think through and things like that. Yeah. So
you're not
put
just
something this serious, life and death, serious in front of them, and then expect them to go through the rest of their life, their adult life and young adult life, and try to make good decisions after that when they reflect back on that decision and think, oh, that was the worst thing I've ever done, and I can't go back. I kin that to getting caught in a bear trap, because the women that over the 25 years that I've worked with that made a decision for abortion, whether it be surgical or whatever, and they made the decision for that, and then after the fact, when they cannot carry it any longer, they cannot carry that wound any longer, and they meet up with somebody with compassion for them, and then the door opens and the floodgates just come out.
That's a great way to describe it.
That's when they are able to say, this is not at all what they told me it was going to be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nothing like it at
all.
Isn't
that just classic bait and switch?
Bait and switch.
Yeah.
And then for the years after that, they're left alone to manage how they deal with it. Well, I am a sexual abuse survivor. I'm not a victim, but I'm a survivor.
Yep.
And from that, what I learned and what is so kindred to what they go through is we both learned how to turn off those emotions. We learned how to put that in a box, set it over here, and try not to go back to that. But see, that box pops open. There's triggers that happen, and that box pops open. I cannot even imagine. I can't wrap my mind around 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, these women and what they will deal with mentally and emotionally because they saw everything.
They saw everything.
They felt everything.
I mean, that something like that never leaves you. And I in my line of work, I talk to women every single day in and day out, and women of all ages, women who are, in their 60s and 70s, sit in my office and weep, and they say it was the worst decision I ever made.
Right.
And so
the regret is horrendous.
I think the lie is that your life is going to come to a screeching halt if you have a baby too soon, or if you have a baby at the wrong time. That is such a lie.
It is.
There's so much hope in bringing life into a world, even if you are not in a position to parent.
Right.
There's so many other options. Adoption is an option.
It is.
Kinship care. A lot of people don't think about kinship care. That's where you basically entrust your child to a close family relative, a close friend, until you're able to parent.
Until you're able to do it.
Yeah. So that's an option.
Yeah.
So
and talking about adoption, I want to hit on that for just a minute, because the thing that we hear, the number one statement we hear back is, oh, I could never have it, carry it for 9 months or 40 weeks and then give it to somebody. Well, you're not giving it to anybody. Here's what's happening. I want to make this very clear. I want you to think about this in a different realm. When you make the decision to give life, you are doing the number one parenting decision that you could possibly, the very best parenting decision. The next decision that you make is, am I going to be the best parent for this child, or can I be the best parent for this child now, or do I need to give this child a better chance? It takes me back to Moses, and I think about Moses' mom and taking him, putting him in that basket and putting him in that water, and with hopes that someone would find him and save his life. Well, he was, and he was raised, but then God intervened. Isn't this cool? This is like open adoption to me. I love
it. Really is.
God intervened, and he let her be the one that got to be his nanny and raise him.
Right. And boy, did God have a plan for him.
Did he ever have a plan for him? And it's like, it's such an amazing thing. So I want to say to women that are out there and thinking that you're going to be looked down on. You should never even look down on yourself. No one looks down on adoptive moms anymore because birth moms are the epitome of sacrificial moms.
That's right.
I just think they're heroes. I really do. I look at them and I'm thinking, man, you are the top of the heap as far as I'm concerned, because they are the ones who will do it sacrificially. I've got one girl that came. She kept her baby for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And then came to me and she said, Miss Vicki, I don't think I can do this. I can't give her the life I want to give her.
And I had a friend growing up who was my age, and she kind of went through the same thing. She had planned an adoption. She was 14 and pregnant, and she had planned an adoption. Her parents helped her plan it, and then she changed her mind, brought the baby home, and then kind of came to reality. And about a month later, did place with the family she had chosen, but still involved with that child to this day.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the way she is. They go for birthday. They go for birthdays. This girl is now married to a youth pastor. They have 3 biological children of their own, and all 3 children know their sister. I mean, it's just a beautiful story. I got to have her on the show one of these days. Yeah. And
parenting, though. Yes. But a lot of people think, well, I could never parent. But actually they can. If they get the support they need.
Like us to walk them through it.
They need a pregnancy center to help them, to do parenting classes, help with financial resources, and meet those needs.
So, and the beautiful thing is all of those things get an option if you've taken that first pill and you think,
there's
it's
still
too late.
Hope.
It is never too late after that first pill to give it to. So what if it works?
What if it works?
What if it works?
Praise the Lord. God has a plan for that child.
Even after the second pill, you said, and of course it's a little bit last chance.
Yeah.
But even after the second pill,
there's
it
still
has
hope.
A chance to work.
Yeah. I tell you what, sometimes we look at the situation and it seems so dire. It seems like there's no hope. There's no way. Right. There's always hope. There's always a way. I'll tell you about a young lady that I know. Her name is Kala. And she just had a really hard life, growing up. And she grew up with an impoverished single mother. She says she had no happy memories from her childhood. And when she was 15 years old, she got pregnant, dropped out of school, and got married. I know. But, as you can imagine, her teenage marriage was no bed of roses. Right. Had a lot of problems, had a second child with her husband. Ended up, kind of bouncing around from job to job, started partying, using some drugs, got into some legal trouble, had another child. That child got removed from her because of her drug problems. And then, separated from her husband, basically homeless, kind of just bouncing around from couch to couch, got pregnant a 4th time. Oh, wow. She's now in her mid-20s. And she knew she couldn't parent. She knew she couldn't keep the baby. Her husband had care of the older 2 kids. And so you would say, well, she needs an abortion. Well, she didn't get an abortion. She called an adoption hotline. Somebody encouraged her to call an adoption hotline, and she was met with counselors who said, well, here's your options. And she said, I want to pursue an adoption. I think that's the best thing. And so she was presented with adoptive couples, and she got to choose the parents for this baby boy that she was expecting. And the mother that she chose was me. Oh, she picked me. I love it. And my husband and I were seeking an adoption. We had met with an agency and put ourselves out there, and she picked us. Oh. And so our beautiful son was born healthy. And he is our miracle. He's our blessing. Yeah. And actually, a couple years later, she was in a better footing. She was in a better place. She had gotten off drugs, and did have a place to live at that time. But she was pregnant again, and she said, I still can't parent. I want to give you my second child. So now, and then we have the sister. So we have a daughter. And I mean, these children are the light of our life. We have 1 biological child and our 2 adopted children. And every one of them is a blessing.
Yeah.
And so there's hope in that. There's redemption for a bad situation in that.
And she can feel good about that.
And she does. I communicate with her, and so
that's the beauty of it.
That's the beauty of it.
That's what I tell people all the time. There's two women you'll look in the mirror and see. You'll either look in the mirror and see a woman that sacrificially
she sacrificed,
that she would give birth to that child, and and pick a family, choose the family.
That's right.
For her child and how that child will be raised. Or you'll look in the mirror and you'll see the woman who did not choose to give life to that child. One is going to be way harder to look at than the other.
That's right.
I know one of my women that have been through class. She took down every car that she ever owned. She did not have a rearview mirror. And she covered up every mirror in her home. And wherever she lived, she would not look at herself until she came to healing.
That's so sad.
And so for years and years and years, I didn't know that about her.
Yeah.
I knew her, but I didn't know that about her. And she would never look at herself in the mirror.
But God still loves her.
God still loves her, and He loved her enough to carry her through all that, to get her to the point where she met us, and she was able to go through healing, and today lives as a Christian, forgiven and set free.
That's right. That's right.
Makes all the difference. Which, let me say, in our last few minutes, I do want to say that we do have a Forgiven and Set Free class coming up for women who have been through an abortion, whether it's a pill abortion or a surgical abortion, that regret their abortion, but they're tired. Mm-hmm. They're just tired. They're worn out from walking like this. We have one coming up in June. You can call 501-743-5120. That's me. You can speak directly to me, so you're not telling 5 different people. I'm the one that leads it, and so I will take you through what that looks like. But we also have a 24-hour hotline that you can call if you have taken the abortion pill or you are considering taking the abortion pill. As Dr. Amaya closes us out here for the next 2 minutes and shares, but this number is 501-941-8703. We will meet you where you are. We will be there for you. With no judgment, just help. We just want to love on you and help you through one of the worst times of your life. So, Dr. Mott, if you don't mind, just share with them any wisdom and compassion that you have for the last.
Yeah, I think if you are thinking about taking abortion pills, don't do it. If you've got them in your possession and you hadn't taken them yet, flush them down the toilet. Yeah. Flush the pills, not your baby.
Right.
And if you've taken them and regret it, there is still hope.
Yes.
There is, call the number that Vicki said. There's also the National Abortion Pill Reversal Hotline. It is 1-877-558-0333. That is 1-877-558-0333. And that's the Abortion Pill Reversal Hotline. That's a national hotline. And then, for those of us out here, if you know someone or if you are someone who has been hurt, who has suffered through an abortion, you are loved.
Yes.
We're not here to judge you. We are here to love on you. We've all made mistakes.
Yes.
We've all fallen short and done things we regret. But God still loves you, and we still love you. Absolutely. And I think as a church we need to be better.
Absolutely.
About that.
Watch your language.
Watch your language. We talk about killing babies, but there are women who are literally dying inside. Absolutely. Who have suffered.
That you don't know who you're talking to.
You don't know who you're talking to.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
They could be the grandmother. They could be the girl.
The boyfriend. Anyone,
It could be anyone.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, we really thank you for all your wisdom, your compassion, your leadership in the state of Arkansas, but especially for us at Options. We're very thankful for that and very grateful for that. And so to you all listening today, maybe you're holding your breath and waiting for that pain to ease, for the fog to lift. But sit on that step in Muddy Bottom is a place that you are not forgotten about. We want you to take that time to sit on that stump, and you'll come to the right conclusion. I'm convinced that God gave you the right answer before He ever sent you out of heaven to come to this earth, to live a life full for the plan that He has for you, not for the plan that the enemy has nudged you into or tried to steal your life from. Even in the hardest of places, Jesus is for you. We are for you. And there are still good things to be yielded from your life. So I'm hoping that you will remember that you can dig yourself out of life's deepest pits, and there are diamonds hidden in those pits that you still have to go forth and do something with in life. So I'm your host, Vicki Parker, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for Dr. Amaya.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Unexpected pregnancy, you don't have to face it alone. At Options Pregnancy Centers, we provide no-cost medical grade pregnancy tests and ultrasounds in a safe, caring environment. Our trained team is here to listen, answer your questions, and help you explore your options with confidence. With locations serving Cabot, Beebe, Lone Oak, and Jacksonville, help is closer than you think. Call Options Pregnancy Center today at 501-941-8703 to schedule your confidential appointment. You are not alone. Options Pregnancy Centers, making a difference one life at a time.